What kind of virtual human company is more worth investing in? Small Summit Review 03. Investment in virtual humans is in the ascendant, and the biggest opportunity still lies in the platform changes brought about by technological changes. In addition, there are still new opportunities for social, content, scenarios, services, etc. The key is still, what are your core values? Since 2021, the virtual human market has become more and more popular, and it seems to have become the stepping stone of the metaverse world, with the most players and the most popular topics. But behind the endless emergence of virtual human marketing, what kind of irreplaceable value does virtual human provide to brands and users? How can virtual humans achieve a positive cycle of commercialization? After the stereotyped portraits, how will the differentiated value of virtual humans be generated? What kind of virtual human enterprise is more valuable for investment? Starting in 2021, Xinxiang Pro will interview a series of active companies and investment institutions in the metaverse and virtual human fields with the theme of Between Reality and Reality, and also hold small-scale closed-door discussions for many times. On May 27, Xinxiang Pro held an online summit with the theme of the current situation and future of virtual humans, inviting 9 experts from various directions such as virtual human IP owners, commercialization platforms, technology providers, and investment institutions. A first-line guest discussed 3 major themes of monetization, virtual human operation, and investment. In the roundtable discussion on what kind of virtual human company is more worth investing in, Wang Sheng, a partner of InnoAngel, said that the evolution of media is an important reason to pay attention to virtual human. The virtual human is still in its infancy, and when the infrastructure is imperfect, the application scenarios are very limited. But in the era of Metaverse and Web3, the biggest investment by investors must be social platforms. Founded in April 2013, InnoAngel Fund has invested in more than 500 innovative projects, focusing on Metaverse, Web3, and new energy. In the field of virtual human, InnoAngel mainly invested in Dongtu Universe and Zhongke Shenzi. Wuyuan Capital is one of the earliest institutions in China to engage in early-stage venture capital. It has many investment cases in social and content interaction platforms, and has established a virtual track around 2017. In terms of virtual humans, Wuyuan Capital has mainly invested in Chiayi Technology, Mofa Technology, and Microsoft Zhaois. Chen Zi, managing director of Wuyuan Capital, believes that the emotional interaction and precipitation between real people and real people and machines, is the direction of the next generation of social network exploration. Chen Zi said, "We are looking forward to finding good technologies and products that can be combined with Seaside or UGC in the next few years." Founded in 2015, Mumian Capital is a boutique investment bank focusing on the new economy. It focused on entertainment and consumption in the early days. It entered the technology track in 2018 and is currently focusing on XR and virtualization in the technology field. In terms of virtual human, Mumian Capital mainly serves Bernai Technology, Huier Technology, GemSouls, Bud, Slow Planet and Pausing Cat. Wei Shiqing, director of Mumian Capital, believes that the experience side focuses on the immersion based on natural interaction and 3D, and the supply side uses a more efficient and low-cost way to produce content. Combining the two will continue to see new opportunities. If a closed loop can be found in a specific scenario, the data and air value under the closed loop can be maximized to enhance the experience and amplify the commercial value. Such a company has more opportunities. The following is a summary of the roundtable discussion on what kind of virtual human company is more worthy of investment. Compiled by Xinxiang Pro, and shared with you for the reference of content and brand colleagues who are concerned about this field. Xinxiang Pro, at this point, are we investing in virtual people or what? In our actual metaverse, we may live in it, or everyone has their own avatar. So what is the real relationship between virtual humans and that world? What role will it play? Wang Sheng, this is a very important question. Why do we believe in the metaverse? Do you simply believe it, or because you have found some objective and essential laws and can deduce it? The evolution of media is a very important way to promote, just like the PC internet, mobile internet and mobile phones, and we may now use VR and AR. There will be 2 points at the end of the medium. The first point is to maximize the information density, that is, to give you enough information per unit of time. The second point is that the availability is the strongest, that is, the availability of efficiency and cost is the strongest. This is the case with the mobile internet. The ultimate form of R in the future is Mr. We must pay attention to this. Why is the medium so important? Because the development of human behavior and civilization, as well as the economic form, are determined by the medium. Because of the progress of the media, we have some new ways. The evolution of these media is an extension of the human body and perception, which influences our character and social behavior. Why do we believe that virtual human can become a very valuable thing in the metaverse? Because there has been a lot of research to prove that when you are in a CMC, computer-mediated communication, environment, you are facing a machine, but although there is almost no difference between the psychological reaction and the real person. In human-computer interaction, your behavioral and economic responses are similar to those in real-life scenarios. Chen Zi, virtual human is a very important part of our thinking about the metaverse. Why do we pay attention to the metaverse? The evolution of media is closely related to the development of technology, whether it is computing technology or communication technology. When we first started investing, we invested in some text-based and forum-based websites. In the age of text, a wealth of social networking sites has been produced. As texts are replaced by pictures and pictures are replaced by short or long videos, on the new interactive platform, the user's immersion, user value, and user duration are greatly enlarged. This is closely related to the widespread popularity of 4G and smartphones. At the same time, there is also a very important variable, that is, the emergence of AI. In theory, what we have established is not just people and people, but a wider range of possibilities including people and machines, and even machines and machines. For these two considerations, one is the upgrade of the content form, and the other is the variable of AI. We feel that the new interaction method of the metaverse is very worthy of attention. Let's look at the metaverse. Which year is it roughly equivalent to a short video? It may be around 2010, and it may take several years before the real end popularization, because the tools and technologies for quickly generating 3D content are not particularly mature, which is in terms of content. In terms of display and interaction, whether it is VR, AR, or new human-computer interaction carriers and hardware, it is also in a relatively early stage. When thinking about the metaverse opportunities in the past year or two, we may first focus on the human form. Just like in the short video platform, the focus is on the human level. We invest around the underlying technologies related to people's ability to generate, drive and interact. But both content production and interaction-driven capabilities are rapidly maturing and costs are falling. We will pay more attention to whether there are excellent product managers or technical teams who can find some breakthroughs in the existing low-cost generation methods or interaction methods that we have seen. Today, the vast majority of virtual people and their products may still revolve around some to-be brands, stars or high-end PGC content. We also experienced the process of converting PGC content into UGC content for hundreds of millions of users. Therefore, we are still looking forward to finding a combination of good technologies and products on the C side or on the UGC side in the next few years. Wei Shiqing, just now, President Wang and President Chen have already shared more comprehensively, so I will add some more. We basically think in two ways. One is to look at the future in an extremely macroscopic and abstract way. The other is to pay attention to the current entrepreneurs pragmatically and look at the present in a figurative way. We want to combine the two, which is also the way our team understands the various tracks, including the metaverse. From the perspective of the metaverse track, the two of you just mentioned two very big key points. First, start from human experience. The essence of human experience is immersion. Whether it is Mr. R or VR, the metaverse brings everyone a stronger sense of immersion. The attribute behind the immersion could be 3D, possibly a more natural real-time interaction. Second, in order to achieve an immersive experience, we have to construct a new world. What everyone cares about must be how to generate a large amount of content at a low cost, and traditional gamification and video-based methods are definitely not enough. In the future, there must be a more efficient and lower-cost way, which may be from PGC to UGC to AIC, which may be of software dimension. From the perspective of hardware, it will range from higher precision and more expensive collection equipment to more civilian equipment, which may be collected with our mobile phones. On the experience side, we pay more and more attention to immersion. On the supply side, we generate content in a more efficient and low-cost way. Combining these two, we can continue to see new opportunities. This is our macro-abstract thinking logic. In addition to these 2 points, it is more critical to think around data. Byte is the ultimate use of data AI in text and video distribution, forming 2 products, Taotao and Douyin. In a more immersive world in the future, we should have a large amount of new data that will continue to be generated. How can we train it with AI after new data? On the one hand, it can improve the user experience, and on the other hand, it may also empower hardware and software products. Lightweight to reduce costs. We prefer to define the metaverse in terms of Mr. It is divided into 3 parts. The first part is the perception of the real world is the new input, the second part is the construction of the virtual world, including modeling, rendering and action driving, and the third part is the presentation, the new output. These 3 segments, from a figurative perspective, what do we focus on? First, around the input end, such as the perception end, we are more concerned about whether there are some devices that match the accuracy required by the scene, but with lower cost and more real-time acquisition. Now it may only be suitable for industrial grades such as film and television, and then civilian grades can be used. This is a point to pay attention to. Second, for modeling, rendering and motion-driven, we don't need designers to draw, but simply upload videos or pictures to generate our own images, making it easier to implement modeling, rendering and motion-driven companies. These are what we are more concerned about. But what we need to pay more attention to is whether there are some good scenarios that can realize the flywheel of continuous increase in experience and continuous decline in cost based on the role of data and AI. For example, a company we serve is Paddling Cat, which integrates the technology of sports and mixed reality. First, he defined a new data dimension of human motion in space based on the camera's capture of human motion. Based on the combination of this new data dimension and AI algorithm, first of all, he can digitize various forms, handheld props, vehicles, resistance, etc. to improve the efficiency of physical space use. At the same time, based on the accumulation of human motion data and AI algorithms with Blessing, PaddleCat can match users with the best AI fitness coaches and realize a personalized experience at a low cost. At the same time, the advantages of networking are brought into play, so that users who are separated by 2 places can realize real-time interaction of games such as tennis. Products like this really revolve around a scenario, based on a large amount of data, using AI technology to bring new experiences to users. This is the company we pay more attention to. Xinsheng Pro, we have done a lot of interviews before, and we also talked about whether the digital human scene is somewhat limited. What variables or influencing factors do you think virtual humans will appear due to? Whether it is interaction or presentation, what are the different stages of development? When might these stages occur? Wang Sheng, I think the current virtual human is still in the early stage, and everyone is still in the process of building new infrastructure. Overall, the technical facilities of the entire metaverse are not mature enough, lacking infrastructure and useful tools. At present, the needs of the development of the entire metaverse still have no burden on the communication network. The network that the metaverse ultimately needs is not a network such as 6G or Wi-Fi 6, but a distributed network based on high-quality edge computing. The real burden is computing power, and computing power is a big problem. All artificial intelligence training sets require powerful computing power. The second is the development of artificial intelligence. Now it is still necessary to solve the problem of the underlying technical infrastructure. From the perspective of computing power, artificial intelligence, and new 3D graphics, this problem must be solved. When the infrastructure is imperfect, the application scenarios are very limited. For example, when Quasar was first made, it was actually a technical tool, and later it was gradually upgraded to short videos and then to live broadcasts. From an investment perspective, if the metaverse launches a new generation of internet, the biggest investment must be the platform. And in fact, the platform is generally started first, and then the CP is loaded. After the CP is finished, the tools are loaded. If there are platforms, CPs, and content, I will provide a lot of convenient tools for users. Generally, this is how the ecology is completed. But in the process of the current metaverse, it is the other way around, because the infrastructure is too weak, so he can't get on the platform. What platform are you on? Going to the traditional Bilibili, Douyin, and Quasar is not the platform of the metaverse. Even if I made a 3D virtual idol, what I showed everyone was just a video or live broadcast, and the platform went to the end. So in the field of the metaverse, it may be reversed, first on the CP, first on the intermediate scene, then on the tool, and then on the platform. The application scenarios are very limited. You can either be an idol, a hyper-realistic virtual idol, or a two-dimensional idol, or I use digital people to become smarter and understand all the data of e-commerce. NLP has done a very good job and can understand customers. Speaking, the anchor has super intelligence, and can drive expressions. Drive speech and behavior, so that your product is truly suitable for the corresponding style of live broadcast. I think of these two directions, one will be widely used in e-commerce, and the other will be a small number of stars and virtual idols. Of course, there are many brand flagship stores that will use it to upgrade customer service. Longti Technology, jointly invested by our Angel and Wuyuan, is a company that has done a very good job in NLP. Xinsheng Pro, in the limited technical scope, how to increase efficiency or improve efficiency in application scenarios is actually our focus. I would like to ask President Chen, whether it is the future development stage of the digital human, or the evolution of the technology route in the entire metaverse field, do you have any plans or predictions here? Chen Zi, this question is still very difficult to answer. We have collected some data and practical experience before. Investing is especially afraid of cutting a boat and seeking a sword, but there is still experience to learn from. For example, Quasar, a short video, was just a GIF tool at first. At that time, many people did not use this to make videos, but to make funny animations. There was no place to post funny GIFs, they were mainly posted on Weibo at that time. When Quasar as a tool accumulates to a certain scale, it forms a certain user portrait and circle. Some people especially like to make some funny videos, and they also gather a lot of sinking users. When they like to post some content with their community tone, a certain community atmosphere is formed. At that time, it began to gradually replace, or reduce the proportion of content spilling over to Weibo. Quazu is actually using this approach to gradually build its own community. Tools such as Quazu, Douyin, and WeChat can develop to this day as a new content medium, or a new content platform. If it can't master its own platform, it just keeps spilling its content to the previous generation platform, and there is no way to form a closed loop and interaction in its own system, and it is difficult to develop and grow in the long term. At that time, Quazu greatly reduced the cost of short video production on a platform with a small screen and limited computing power such as a mobile phone. At that time, people didn't quite understand one thing, that is, they thought that as an attribute of content consumption, users had demands for high-quality content. In fact, short videos were underestimated for a long time in those days, especially the quality created by users on their own mobile phones. Compared with the long videos or professional works of PGC at that time, there was a big gap. Why do some users like to watch relatively crude and rudimentary short video content made by others? For a long time, the market may have underestimated the potential of this thing. But it is also because of such undervaluation that some startups, including Douyin and Quazu, can rise rapidly. In the current virtual field, production tools, production efficiency, and interaction methods are very expensive, and the effect is limited. In fact, some high-quality, more PGC-attributed content can make money. Can there really be interaction between users and users? Even if its quality is low, its emotional substitution, user immersion and interaction may be higher. This aspect is a signal that we would be very concerned about, even if this thing is a cruder, more primitive product on a technical level or an effect level. Going back to the variable of focusing on AI, we think that although the current large model is very expensive, such as OpenAI training, a model may cost tens of millions of dollars, but the speed of this technology evolution, and the trend of cost reduction in the long run we still have a lot of confidence. We are also looking forward to this kind of technology that can really replace the real interaction technology or language model with the fake at the interactive level, and the virtual technology can be popularized as soon as possible. This is a huge variable and opportunity for a new generation of platforms, and it may be an opportunity to break through the constraints of the existing Douyin or Quazu traditional platforms. Wei Shiqing, I still focus on the application scenario of virtual human. I think it may be more difficult to see the avatar alone, but it is still necessary to see the avatar in the scene. When there are enough scenes, the person can flow, and the value will be released more. For example, products such as Bud can create their own worlds in the 3D community. This is a scenario. Also, I would like to mention two other cases, one in the to be field and one in the to see field. In the to see scene, I would like to introduce a company, Bizhen Technology, a collaboration platform for 3D real experience. The first scene to be implemented is an online concert. While many companies are still using the PGC method to produce VR concert content, this company is trying to use a collaborative platform to industrialize the full real experience. For example, when it holds a concert, its content generation method is not to use CG technology by game developers, but to use traditional industry sound engineers and lighting engineers, under the condition that the original software tools used remain unchanged, realize the connection between these software and data, and the full real experience collaboration engine. It is to allow lighting engineers and sound engineers to use the same tools as in the past to participate in the content production process of panoramic experience and 3D immersive experience. When AI has not yet arrived, this method is also a supplement, which can complete content production in an industrialized and large-scale manner. Based on the scene of music, many virtual human companies can be involved. For example, there are many dancers in a concert, which can be automatically generated by the AI technology of HUE technology according to the music. For example, the lead singer of the concert can use the motion capture technology to realize the real-time performance of the people in the virtual world. Presentation. In addition to the field of digital people, we are also in some to-be fields, and we have seen some companies that can apply mixed reality technology based on the scene to create value. One of these companies is often the integration of software and hardware. For example, in the company Hongshong Technology, he started with a space-based VR panoramic camera. After digitizing the space, what are the biggest applications we see right now? It's a VR viewing of shell. However, Hongshong Technology chose another decoration scene with a huge market, and built a marketing tool for SCRM based on VR panoramic room content. This content form is more conducive to building trust and connection with users, and is better than videos, pictures and text. The value of marketing. Currently in the early stage of the mixed reality industry, many software and hardware infrastructures are not perfect, and companies that can create value based on scenarios sometimes need to have both the technical capabilities of integrating software and hardware, and at the same time have a deep understanding of the scenarios in the industry, which poses great challenges to startups. Big. Xinsheng Pro, we may still need to rely on an intermediate platform to realize a big future. For example, Quazu formed a closed loop with the help of Cineweb 10 years ago and grew into a platform. Compared with 10 years ago, is this closed loop and content ecology growing more difficult or simpler? The layout of large factories in the metaverse is also very active. For our investment institutions, we are more exposed to startups. So when we look at startups, what aspects will we focus on now? Wang Sheng. Of course Dochang has very strong strength, but I think Dochang's existing advantages and barriers are also its own burden, making it difficult to give up. Let's ask a question: why are all the big American companies, like Facebook, Microsoft, Apple, Google, etc., engaged in the metaverse? Why don't they engage in Web3? Because the goal of Web3 is to bring down these centralized companies. For example, such as Tencent, Sonqi, and NetEase, these big companies have almost monopolized Chinese games, but this does not prevent some companies with high-quality content, such as Shanghai's Four Little Dragons and Mayo. So I think Dochang is both scary and not terrible. These startups have their own proprietary perspective, because it is very likely that what you are doing happens to be the opposite of Dochang, and it is difficult to destroy its original industrial chain, and he does not necessarily have this gene. Metaverse social networking will bring about great changes. I even think that foreign companies that do well in social networking may not necessarily be able to do metaverse social networking. When we think back to the internet social networks in the past, it was actually a very abstract social network. Most of them broke the ice first, and in the face of words and pictures, everyone had some spiritual exchanges and so on. They succeed, a lot of the time, because of increased efficiency, whether it's Facebook or Twitter. But this is actually different from the normal social scene in a real world. When we face each other, language, content, expression, physical behavior, and various forms of expression are all conveying information. In the entire study of human psychological behavior, these all are social cues. I think the new generation of social network design in the metaverse is how to use more abundant and sufficient social clues. No one would consider this issue in the past. The products we see now are still pursuing higher ice-breaking efficiency and intelligent matching efficiency, so that the situation in the information cocoon room is extremely serious. In the future, to achieve a real social network, it will have many and very complicated things to do, and it will really need to understand the behavior of human social interaction, and really understand some basic cognitions of psychology, sociology, and economics. In this way, the new social network can be designed well, and it really makes people feel that it is a very good social space. Gen Z, looking at products such as WeChat, Douyin, and Quazu today, their penetration rate and connectivity have become very strong, and they may be much stronger than when Quazu started a business 10 years ago. They have built up very strong unilateral and bilateral social connection points. If I, as an entrepreneur today, want to enter this market, I encourage everyone to think and disrupt. Turn the giant's existing huge advantage into its disadvantage, or at least an advantage that it cannot directly exert. The social relationship of the next generation may not only be between real people, but also between real people and virtual people. If this thing is done well, it may not generate a network of social relationships between people in the traditional sense, but a network of constant emotional interaction, precipitation, and data generation between humans and machines. I think this may be the next generation. Social network is a direction worthy of research and exploration. We have recently been researching social products for virtual partners or virtual boyfriends and girlfriends, which actually gave us a lot of inspiration. Under today's relatively limited dialogue understanding ability, is there any way to rely on good product design and good interaction methods to enable many users who may be non-mainstream today, who may be people who need better emotional iteration and better interactive companionship? In such a product, get what he wants, and then expand to more mainstream user groups in the future. In the long run, the social networking opportunities simply centered on efficiency, quantity, and breadth of connections. The previous generation of giants have stood still, and the next wave needs to make some innovations in the depth of interaction, and the depth of experience. We rely on the depth of this experience to differentiate from the giants' products, and on this basis form stronger compound interest, or data iteration. Wei Shiqing, I am a layman in social networking. I only share one point. In the future, I think social networking should be more based on scenarios. I have previously started a social space business, which is an offline physical space, where people can communicate and socialize in the space. One of our cores is how to break the ice. At that time, we thought, if there are eyeglasses in the future, I will wear eyeglasses, and you will know when you look at your hometown, your preferences and whether you are single, etc. The two of you don't have to chat awkwardly, because it may be faster to find common interests. Build social relationships. Compared with the high cost of opening a store offline, whether it is possible to achieve a more efficient ice-breaking in the metaverse or mixed reality scene, first connect everyone better and more efficiently, I think it is worth thinking about here. Xinsheng Pro, some audience members specifically asked Mr. Wei, is the virtual human being established as a single track in the metaverse? From the current technology and social bottom-level sentiment, do you still think now is a good time to invest in companies or institutions that want to enter the virtual human race? Wei Shiqing, this question is especially suitable for Mr. Wang to answer. I will give a brief answer. The virtual human has the actions of skin, soul and limbs, and the virtual human also projects the real people in the real world into the virtual world or the virtual human in the virtual world. Virtual human is one of the important components of people, goods and fields in the future mixed reality world, and it is constantly evolving, so I think virtual human is a direction worthy of attention. However, when it comes to investment, if there are already many companies in your direction, you must let investors see your differentiation. It may not be attractive enough to mention only the concept of virtual human, and single-point technology. In many places, it may still be necessary to find a combination of current technologies and scenarios, truly gain the recognition of users and customers, and achieve product and market matching. Blindly following the trend is never a good choice, because the initiative is not in your own hands. Wang Sheng, let me also briefly say that if you do not have very powerful technologies to solve the efficiency and cost problems of virtual human modeling, production, and driving, most investors are not particularly interested. But if you want to be a technology company, these companies basically have scientists, university professors, and a lot of PhDs to do it. If you don't have this gene, everyone is not competing on a level. Of course, the characteristics of entrepreneurs are the most basic, and they do not need strong technology to support them. If you want to do a CP content, you have to ask your genes too. The virtual human CP company that seems to be successful now, his genes are all engaged in film and television, animation, or short video maken, especially in terms of traffic. Of course, technology is also very powerful. Doing traffic, artist packaging, artist brokerage, etc., everyone has to weigh them. This phenomenon is a good phenomenon, anyone can do it, but if you want to do it well and make money, I think it is very difficult.